Everybody, I'm Lisa Woods, Managing Partner of Realcomm. Welcome back to the 2025 Realcomm IBCon Conference here in Savannah. With me today is Jorge Blanco, the Chief Strategy Officer with Altus. How you doing, Jorge?
Very well, Lisa. Thank you for having me.
Good, good. I'm glad you're here.
I'm here.
So give us a little bit of background, a little bit of your history with Altus. How long have you been with the company, and what your role and responsibility is with Altus?
Sure. I've been with the company for 4.5 years. I've had 3 jobs since I got there. There's been a lot of movement at Altus since I got there, but I was the Chief Product Officer. Okay. I was then the Chief Commercial Officer for about 3 years, and just recently moved over to run strategy for the company.
Okay, all right. Lot probably has been happening, it sounds like, since you came on board with Altus. Lots been happening across the board in the last couple of years. I think you've rolled out a new product, Argus Intelligence. Mm-hmm. Was that in response to conversations that you've had with clients, or is that something that you guys have been working on for a long time?
It's probably a combination of both, but when we came into Altus about 4.5 years ago, the background of quite a few of the members of the executive team is extensive data and analytics experience, mm-hmm. Starting to speak to clients in the industry, and I think probably Realcomm is a great example that's been really talking about the challenge of data for quite some time.
Yep.
We clearly recognize that there's a lot of value once you solve that issue, but we needed to set the foundations, what I would call the functional foundations of the technology, meaning we had to solve for bringing data together. We needed to then solve for how do you serve it at scale, and then begin to essentially transition the applications, which in the case of Altus, the core application has always been valuation enablement, mm-hmm. with Argus Enterprise, which clearly is pervasive in the industry. But all of those things needed to be re-engineered, re-architected, and built for what's really coming next. And Argus Intelligence, as I like to tell our customers and our folks, is really kind of the end of the beginning. Mm-hmm. So it was really setting up that initial framework in technology that will now allow us to get to true intelligence when we're assisting our clients with managing their assets, their portfolios, et cetera.
And it's all about data.
Data is where all, I would say, optimistic analytics projects or intelligence projects go to die.
Right.
So, and I think everybody knows that in the audience. But essentially, if you do not deal with that comprehensively and at scale, yep. It's going to end up being, the outcomes are going to be extremely disappointing. Right.
Well, and it's the and it's the core, the foundation of AI, which is a huge conversation. It's a big conversation here at Realcomm IBCon, as is cybersecurity. Mm-hmm. But what is Altus' approach to AI, and how are you incorporating AI across your solutions?
Yeah. So the journey for Altus in bona fide, what I would call bona fide AI, because there are multiple layers, started a number of years ago, probably even ahead of my own time there, but very, very aggressively once we joined. We acquired a company called Realcomm mm-hmm. back in November 2021. And the interesting thing about Realcomm is that they had recognized that to manage data at scale, they really needed to embrace what is a neural network, or people may think about it as a knowledge graph type of technology, which is a way to really, really scale your data and be able to tap into it. So we've been using that since we acquired them, and we have moved that to the core of the Argus Intelligence architecture. Mm-hmm. So we can then take every asset, give it a unique identifier, and continue to improve that data, no matter where the data sources may come. Very, very critical component. We also acquired a company called Stratadem, and we've had Michael Claywar, who's one of our chief innovation folks, that was actually doing predictive analytics for industrial and multifamily markets. So looking at machine learning to really begin to understand not what happened, but what will happen. Mm-hmm. And added that, which of course, once we got past the data element, we were basically off to the races. And then last but not least, about 2 years ago, we acquired a company in Christchurch, New Zealand. It's a company called Forbury that provides an Excel, Microsoft 365 embedded capability to start doing DCF cash flows within Excel. So really increasing the way that the data is coming onto the platform and then applying it to machine learning and then connecting it to the neural network. What will come next, of course, are the true use of agents and agentic AI, and begin to provide, direct access to the large language models that are coming in, that we are essentially creating with the data that we've got, which is an incredible data set that we ask around, everybody would love to have access to, and we're certainly excited to have.
Well, it sounds like you've been very busy.
Very.
Yes.
Very busy.
What about adoption of the new Argus Intelligence? Has that been, what does that look like?
It was announced, we launched it in September at our own event, Altus Connect in Boston in September. We now have what I would say, if you were judging the launch of a new product, probably 2-3 times more clients than I expected on it. And even as importantly, our CEO recently spoke about publicly about the fact that we are expanding the technology for our valuation advisory team. So we are drinking our own champagne, as some people like to say. So we are getting it adopted within the company as well. So we're very pleased. The clients are very excited. We just rolled out benchmarking capabilities, which we're showing here. And it's really beginning to demonstrate the power of having all of this data get processed to the very simple question, how is my asset or my portfolio performing against sector, against industry, or against themselves within a particular portfolio? So very, very excited about the adoption so far.
And are there any differences in the way that you're packaging it and the pricing it?
Yes, absolutely. That's a great question. The Argus Enterprise, which is our, really the application that Altus is most known for sure, and it is very much a part of Argus Intelligence, was priced per seat. And we found that model was quite limiting because it essentially asked our clients to turn on the capabilities for those people that are doing discounted cash flow analysis and valuations. But it kept the folks that do asset management, portfolio management, fund management away from the outcome of the data. Argus Intelligence is priced per asset. And what that does is we basically turn on all of the capabilities for the full enterprise. And that means that if I've got 100, 200 people doing valuations, but I'm a portfolio manager, I can actually consume the outcome of their work instantaneously, which is something that before required a tremendous amount of work in terms of extracting their Argus models, potentially moving them to Excel, moving them around and massaging them. Now it's, you press a button, you finish the model, and there it is, voila.
Okay. Well, we're almost out of time. What do you think is next on the horizon? In the next 12 to 18 months, what do you think the market is going to look like, and any new trends that you see coming down the pike?
We definitely are already taking advantage of and aggressively seeing how we leverage agentic AI agents, the packaging of more standardization, because really we're getting to a point where my agents will speak to Realcomm's agents and so on and so forth. So agentic AI is a big part of this. Of course, generative AI is, this morning in the panel that I participated with my friends that I see here every year, we were talking about the fact that dashboards are so 20th century. And obviously we all have dashboards in our capabilities, and many of our customers expect them. But the interfacing with that data, the augmentation, the interrogation, is changing, and that's what's next for us, is really continuing to expand the capabilities, but are allowing a variety of different user types to take advantage of what they need without having to reinvent for each and every one of them. So it's going to be an exciting AI number of years for sure.
Well, it sounds like you guys are not just busy, but really listening to your clients, really having some deep conversations and taking what they have to give you in terms of insight and feedback, and really starting to employ that across your platform and coming up with some exciting things.
We appreciate you saying that. We're trying, for sure. We had recently an investor that spoke to our CEO and said that Altus had a very high do-to-say ratio. We didn't know what that meant, but it meant we are doing what we said we would do.
I like
That's no better compliment than just sticking to the commitments that we've made to the market and more importantly to our customers.
Absolutely. Well, it was a pleasure having you here.
Always good to see you.
Love to have the conversation again. Come back and see us next year or maybe before then. Maybe we can have a conversation before too much time passes and see what Argus is up to then.
Terrific.
All right.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lisa.
All right.